Hello, hello. Waiting on folks. Probably. All right. Hi, Terry. Okay, view request. Hello, everyone. I just getting started. Hey, Terry.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like so excited. I've been telling everybody. I'm like, I'm be on with Terry live.
That's so good. Here, let me wipe down my camera. I'm gonna try to make it
Okay.
a little brighter here.
Cool
Get my
beans. Hey, everyone who's joining us. Excited to have you all. Thank you for coming in.
Hi everybody. How are you? Actually, this might be better anyway. It's brighter in here.
Yeah, I had to get the lighting all together.
How have you been? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm good. Today is a very crazy, amazing day.
Oh yeah?
But yeah, but good things are going on. My Airbnbs are doing well, so that's good. Got my water.
Good. I'm so glad. See, man, today the news just got me off just off beat. I just was pissed. I was like, really? Really? We're supposed to be coming into 2021, a new year, and craziness already. So I'm glad to hear your good news. That's what we should
Yeah.
be focused on, the good news.
Well, that's what I've been trying to focus on because I was glued to the TV for like 2 hours, 3 hours at one point, and I just had to turn it off because I was like, I don't need this, messing with my mindset and what I'm trying to do. I mean, it is important, but
Not that
yeah, I was
important.
like, let me focus on the positive.
Yes, exactly. Lucas, do
Yeah.
you have COVID? What's going on with you? I just saw somebody in the comments said
Oh,
COVID.
probably because I was coughing. No, I just drank my water wrong.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. Welcome in, guys. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Wanda says this is her first time. Hey girl, hey.
Hey. Yeah.
Love it. So I hear that you have lives often. Is that right?
Well, I'm trying to do them more often. It's one of my like goals for 2021 is to go live. I'm saying at least once a week, at least twice a month. You see, I'm changing it up, but I'm trying to do them more often. So yeah, I try to do those, and I try to have free live classes, free Airbnb classes that I do live sometimes. Sometimes they're pre-recorded. So I just share the information that I know about short-term rentals and Airbnb with as many people as I can. So I've been doing that live, and like I said, sometimes I send people the replay. But yeah, that's my goal, is to do a couple more lives more frequently, and not just about Airbnb, but just kind of like all the things that I'm learning, trying new things. Like one of my goals is to just step into more of what makes me happy. So trying new things like and stocks, like
Okay.
getting into stocks. I've always been kind of afraid of them. I just kind of like, okay, I got my 401k. It's in the background. It's not really something that I thought about a lot, but I'd say at the end of last year, I just saw so many people like you just doing phenomenal things and not and kind of demystifying it. So not making it seem so scary. So I've been dipping my toe into that and like corralling the people around me to try it as well. So yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
really not as scary when you learn how to do it. Then it's not that bad, and it's one of those things. It's just a skill set. Anything you do, you got to learn it first. But then once you have it down, you can just reuse it every time. So it's just about getting started with stocks.
Yeah. So I've started with dividend stocks because those are a little easier, and now I'm starting to like learn the charts and all of that. And I'm like, you really need to know the charts and like what you're doing before you move forward. So that's where I am in the baby steps.
Yes, exactly. Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're doing that. This is
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
And I love too that you're doing Airbnb. I used to be a super host. I'm not sure if Aramis, I know Aramis kind of introduced us. I'm not sure if she told you, but I used to be a super host. So I'm always excited to hear different people talk about Airbnb because it really is a good way to make money.
It is. That's awesome that you were a super host. Yeah, I've been hosting since 2014, and I've hosted about 20 units at this point. And so it's been a roller coaster ride. You know, it's last year was very it was a new experience because we've been riding this high, and then COVID came and kind of like threw us all for a loop.
Mm,
Um, and I always tell people like the honest truth, like when COVID first hit, I always say like that first month was like a bloodbath because we just didn't know what was going on. And, you know, they canceled all the reservations and refunded people their money. And so it
mm,
was a challenging time, but like me and my team and the people that I work with and the people I teach, we just learned to pivot and do like more midterm stays, longer term stays. I host a lot of travel nurses, so that's been really
mm.
good. But yeah, it's
How
been
did you do? I'd like to hear more about that and thank you. Forget about it. Thank you. I love Terry. Thank you. Um, what was that transition like? So like when you how many Airbnbs did you have when COVID first hit, and then like how long did it take before you started getting your revenue back?
Yeah, so when COVID first hit, I probably had about 12 to 15 at the time because so the way I teach people to do it and the way I host is I master lease or rental arbitrage, like I rent places for Airbnb, and then I also co-host. So I was co-hosting quite a few properties for clients as well and managing them. And so that first like month, that first 2 weeks, we were just trying to like get our bearings and see, okay, well, a lot of these guests have canceled and Airbnb has automatically refunded them. So fortunately, we had already started doing, I had already hosted some travel nurses in the past. So I kind of knew that whole market was there and that, you know, they're looking for short-term stays, but they're looking for like 30 days or more usually because for those who don't know, travel nurses are nurses who are given an assignment in a city that's not where they live. So maybe they live in New York, but they've gotten an assignment for a hospital in Dallas, Texas. So they go to that city and their assignment is only maybe 3 months and maybe they'll extend it for 6 months. You know, it just varies. So they're always looking for a place to stay. They're looking for something that's fully furnished already, that is close to the hospital, that's in good condition. So I just had that thought like, okay, well, you know, I know there's always a need for travel nurses. So I went and kind of changed my Airbnb, our listings to kind of highlight, okay, we're close to these hospitals, et cetera. And then we also just kind of reached out to, we had a lot of like midterm stays from students. So there were students who were displaced in the early parts of COVID, who, you know, they didn't necessarily want to go all the way back home because everything was so up in the air. So we had students from the local universities who stayed in our places. We did a lot of our own marketing. So we marketed on Airbnb, of course, but we were really proactive about letting people know, hey, we have these available properties. This is what we're looking for. And then we were flexible. So like, you know, prices that we would have charged 2 years ago in the summertime in the DC metro area, which is where the majority of my listings were,
Okay.
you know, we adjusted them. So that is because we wanted to make sure that we were occupied as long as the price still made sense. And yeah, so that was kind of how we made the move to pivot. And Also, we targeted staycationers because everybody was climbing the walls and wanted to be out of their house, right?
Yes,
So I
yes.
had a lot of people who were local and they were just like, hey, I just want to not be in my own house for the weekend or for the week, or even people who wanted to work remotely but not in their own home. So they would book our place for like a week or continuously, and they would work in that space and maybe go home, or maybe they would stay there. But it was varied. But those were the kind of people that we targeted.
And how did you guys do the marketing? Like, I'm intrigued because, like, I love the fact that you pivoted, and I love that you like still found audiences. Because it's true, a lot of people like me. I recently ran away to Mexico. I was just tired.
I saw your
I was like,
pictures. I was all stuck
if
in
I don't
your
go
Instagram.
right now, I'm going to like fire my whole team and just I don't know. Like, so I was like, I'm leaving right now. So I went on Airbnb. I booked a Airbnb Deluxe. And it was like the best thing I did for my life
Oh, wow.
because the chef was amazing, like the views were amazing, and like I just needed that for my life. So I'm completely with all those people that are just like, I just don't want to be in my house anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But how did y'all market to them?
So we did a couple things. We marketed on Instagram. So we have a page for myself as well as one of the partners that I work with, and she helps to manage a lot of my units now. But both of us have our Instagram pages for our own listings, like for our own units. So we were doing that. We were marketing on Craigslist, Facebook, anywhere you could market. We were putting our properties on there because Airbnb is fantastic, but it's not the only place people look. But then even on Airbnb, like we would highlight our discounts even in our listing title. So like if you're scrolling through and you see 20% off the next week or whatever, you're gonna click my listing, and see if it might work for you.
That's good. So y'all
Yeah.
have the Instagram page, and then what about the travel nurses? How did you get to them? Did you just reach out to them, or like?
Yeah, so I would get them sometimes on Airbnb, like in some of my listing titles, I include like what hospital that I'm close to. If I'm specifically like, there's one of my units I am specifically like, I only basically mostly want travel nurses, so I include the hospital that I'm close to, that I know that a lot of them would want to be at, in my listing title. But then I also like stock travel nurse boards. So because they are always communicating with each other about different actual assignments. So they have boards for like assignments. So I would be posting in there like, hey, this is my property. This is, what it costs. This is the amenities that I have, and these are the hospitals that I'm close to. So I would do that. You can find travel nurse boards on Facebook. And I would just go and post, and I would, especially then, I would do it very regularly because I was like, I need bookings.
Yes, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Like lately,
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a lot of Clubhouse conversations. They've been talking about all these like digital marketers, but I never thought about the fact that you could use those same skills with Airbnb and just, this is how you market any other thing, any other product. This is how you market your Airbnb. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And that's funny that you said that because like last year I feel like was my introduction to I was a marketing major undergrad, but I went to school a while ago. So all this new stuff is new to me too. And so last year was like my crash course in marketing for my own brand as well as like the Airbnb. And I'm just like seeing, oh, all of these principles and things I'm learning marketing wise, I can apply to basically any stream of income that I have.
Mhm.
So that's like my next thing to do. But yeah, it's amazing that once you learn that skill, you can kind of apply it to other things as well.
Everything. Yep, yep. And hey, everybody, welcome to all those who are coming in. You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? And do I say your name as Nana, or how do you say your name?
Nana. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you should probably introduce yourself too for all the.
Oh
We
yes.
probably
Hi
should both
everyone.
introduce ourselves.
I'm
um,
nanaalicenyarko. I'm the creator of the B&B from Scratch method. I teach people my ways of starting an Airbnb with or without buying property. That's my jam. And so, yeah, I just like sharing what I know with others.
Yay. And for those that don't know me, I'm Teri Ijeoma. I'm the founder of Trade and Travel, but at the crux of my being, I'm an investor. I'm an investor in stocks, real estate, and people and ministry. So all things investing are super fun to me. And for those who don't know, like I always talk about stocks, but I also am like a realtor here in Dallas. I'm actually a managing broker here in Dallas. And I've had Airbnbs here. I was a super host. So I always love talking about this just as a passion project of my own. So it's just fun. Somebody actually yesterday in Clubhouse, they were like, Teri, you never talk about your real estate side. And I'm like, oh no. I'm actually speaking at a conference tomorrow. We're gonna do stocks versus real estate. But
Ooh.
I need to do more talking about real estate stuff. But it's fun.
That's super cool. And that's a great topic, stocks versus real estate. Since you're like a master at both, apparently, queen extraordinaire, do you have a preference? Well, I think I know the answer, but do you have a preference?
Yeah, and hey T Hawk said TNT in the house, trade travel in the house. Hey
Oh,
y'all.
yes.
Uh, I think for me, I've kind of flipped the like traditional way that people use stocks and way that people use real estate on their head. So a lot of people would say real estate should be like your shorter term income. You buy a house, you get rental income, and you make some money each month from real estate. And then they use stocks as their longer term bet. Like I'm going to use stocks for retirement, my 401k. But I flip those two on their head because I use stocks as my shorter term active income. It pays my bills, it pays for like my dreams and travel. That's what I use stocks for. I'm an active investor. And then real estate is my longer term retirement game. When I'm
Okay.
tired of looking at stocks, then I have some units and houses that'll be like up in value and I can sell them or rent them out. So that's kind of how I like to look at both real estate and stocks. I do
Yeah.
think the return is, for me, the return is higher on stocks. Like with real estate, like if you're thinking about buying like a $300,000 house, your like let's just say 10% of it you're gonna have to put in your down payment, so that's
Mhm.
30,000 that you got to
Right.
come out of pocket with, and then the amount you're making in rent probably still is only like at max 3,000, so you're still gonna have to spend a good amount of time, probably almost like 10 years back for that initial 30,000 down payment, right? So your return actually isn't that great, even though you are making a little bit of money each month. Versus with stocks, you keep that whole 30,000 in your bank account, and you still get to make a return on it every month. So I love that. And then to your methodology, I also like the way that Airbnb does it because you can make money as well without having to put down a down payment because you can
Exactly.
like do a lease and then make some money. So that's cool too. Hey, your kiddo
Yeah.
Danetto. Oh, Danetto. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, and it's so two things you said that like I really resonate with. One, what your example about buying the property, and it taking time to really see the return, is what I kind of share with people in terms of like doing the master leasing and renting property for Airbnb versus going out and buying it initially. Because like you said, that return is a lot faster than having to put down 10 or 20% if it's like an investment property if you already
Right.
own. But what you said about like trading being more of the short term income, so that is what like it literally in the last like month I've been like, oh, epiphany. I didn't realize, because I've always been taught that you buy your stocks and you just hold them and hopefully they appreciate and all that, which is cool too. But this whole like trading actively and for active income, I guess, is just mind blowing to me. It's really really cool. So
Yeah. And I think one of the big myths out there is like people say that traders aren't successful. Like there's like this myth out there that like 95% of traders are not successful. But I think the thing is, what does success look like? Because if your thing of successful is, you make $1 million, you drive a Maserati, well, you're right. A lot of traders are not going to get there. But if your thing of success is, I just want to make an extra $100 a week so that I can, pay my cell phone or pay my car note or buy my, you know, buy. I have some students that are like paying for daycare for their kid. Like when it's a concrete, smaller goal and you're trading for that, then they can say, yes, I've been successful. I made $400 this month, which paid for, paid off my debt, like that's success for them. So I think that's the key. What does success look like? And then I can teach you how to get there, how to make the money trading to pay off your goal.
Yeah, I think that's so key to tie it to a tangible goal, and not that being a millionaire or driving a Maserati is not a tangible goal, but like saying, okay, I want to make this much every month and tying it to so that I could do X, whatever X is. It could be paying off something, it could be using it for this bill, it could be for my travel fund, which apparently that's what you do.
Yes, my Mexico run escape.
Yeah. I need an escape. I need to go. I will say I did like block off for like a weekend, a couple weekends, my own Airbnbs. I was like, this is me time over the summer. Yeah. I'm like my guests. I just need to get away from my own house.
Hey, I do want to talk more about like how you do the partnerships, that kind of thing, because I find that interesting. Somebody asked on here, they said, hey Nikki, how you doing? But they said, what platform do I use to trade? I use TradeStation. So if you guys want to know like what our broker is, go to tradestation.com. And if you open an account, please do tell them that I sent you. It'll say, how did you hear about us? Put Teri Ijeoma in there. But that's the broker that I use.
Cool.
Okay, so back to you and the co-host thing. So so how does that work? Do they just tell you, hey, I want to get an Airbnb, and then you find it for them, or?
So for me, it's been a mix. It has been, because I had started such a while ago and I was just kind of sharing with folks. I had people who were just like, hey, I have this rental property. Actually, it was the third Airbnb I ever did was with a girlfriend of mine who happened to own a property, and it was vacant, an apartment that was vacant, and she was having challenges renting it. And I was like, well, hey girl, I'm doing this little side hustle Airbnb thing. Do you want to try it? And she was like, I'm game. So that was my first co-hosting experience. It was her property, but I was the host. I was the one managing it. I was the one doing the guest communication, all the things as a host, but it was her property. So that's when I realized that, you can partner with other people who are interested in having an Airbnb, having it run for them. Maybe they don't understand how to get started or don't have the time. And so you can do that. So for me, it was a matter of just like my own network. I always call it like the village search, like go with who you know in your own village, and then reaching out to owners. So I then became proactive and letting people know, hey, this is what I'm doing. These are like the units I've had before. And even when I was still pretty new, it was just kind of like, this is what I know. I explained to them like, this is what your particular property could potentially do on a nightly rate based on the averages locally, right? Based on similar properties. So I just really shared with people what it was that I was doing. And co-hosting is a really fantastic way to start because you really don't have much of any capital up front. Like you don't have to spend a lot of money because it's the owner's property. They will furnish it. I've even had some clients, I enjoy doing interior design. So I've had some clients who are like, it's vacant, help me put it together, So I help them do that as well. With rental arbitrage or master leasing, that's basically when you're going out and you're renting a property specifically with the owner's permission, like not under the table, to use it for Airbnb. Of course, then you've got a few more expenses because you have to, pay to get the property, rent it, all that good stuff. All that goes into renting a regular property. So there's some cost there. So I do love co-hosting for that reason.
Okay. Okay. Now, okay, so that was what my first Airbnb experience. I had a lease, and like when I was traveling, I would rent it out. And I didn't realize, like, oh wow, like people are really booking this thing. And then I decided, well, instead of moving back there, I'm just gonna go move somewhere else and keep that. How does that part work? Like, do people really let you do a lease knowing that it's gonna be Airbnb?
Yeah, so okay, so I'll say that is actually exactly how I started in 2014. I was living in a nice little apartment, and so I would do the same thing when I would travel. I would just book it on Airbnb. It booked well, and then I was actually laid off, so then I just did a room in my apartment like full time, and it really started to do well and start to like make more than the rent. But my second one was similar in that I got a job out of state from the apartment that I was staying in. So I turned it into an Airbnb. And I just said, hey, I don't want to break my lease. Can I do this to the landlord? And they were like, they'd rather have me continue to pay than have to go find a whole new person. And so they were open to it. But in general, you'd be surprised how many landlords, like, yeah, you may have to kiss a few frogs, talk to a couple different people, but you'd be surprised how many are actually open to it as long as you're upfront from the beginning. Because you got to think about it, like a lot of these, especially if they're small, non-commercial, like big landlords, if they're smaller, they're just looking to cover their mortgage and maybe make some extra income. So if you're coming to them saying, hey, I would be the one covering the rent, I'd be responsible for the rent every month, and this is what I'm looking to do with it, a lot of them are a lot more open than you would think, because they want money coming in. You know, they want someone who is going to be able to pay that rent every month. And as long as you are upfront with like what it is you're going to do, I always like to share like what type of guest. I mean, you can't always say like, oh, I only have these type of guests, but I generally say like, these are the type of guests I like to usually have book my property. And, you know, I just talk to as many folks as I can until somebody says yes.
That's what's up. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yep, Lexi says, hello for the DMV. Your property
Hi.
DMV too, right?
So you said I'm sorry?
I said DMV, that isn't that the DC area? That's where your
Yeah,
properties
that's the
are,
DC
right?
area.
Okay.
So that's where most of my units are, but I actually moved from DC. So last year, in the middle of last year, to Las Vegas. So that's where I currently reside. Yes.
What made you pick Las Vegas?
My parents have actually lived here for like 20 years. So
Wow. Okay.
But I went to school in the DC area, so I was just always out there and just kind of stayed, and yeah. But every time I came out here, I enjoyed it. I love the weather, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, next time I come visit, I'm gonna have to say hi.
Yes. But hello from the DMV. I do miss it sometimes.
Yeah, well, not today. You don't.
No.
You good? You don't have to cook no turkey.
Yeah. My sister is still in DC, but fortunately she's like far enough away from the capital. I'm like, you good, girl? She's like, they're not coming over here.
Right, girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, do you have any other questions for me, or?
Well, so what gave you the courage to really start trading the way that you do? Like, how did you get started?
Well, I think the way someone said, yeah, not today. I think mine came out of necessity. So when I talk about the idea of someone's goals being like, I got to pay this bill or pay for this, like that's how it was for me. Like I needed to replace my income and I needed an exit strategy because I was assistant principal of the elementary school, but I just I was not enjoying myself at all. Like it just felt like I was losing myself at work. And so when I needed an exit strategy, I needed to replace my income so I could pay my bills. That's still going to need a place to live. I was traveling or wanted to travel, so I needed to pay for that. So trading was a necessity, and actively trading so I could make income was a necessity. So that's kind of where, if I didn't need the money, then I would have done a more longer term strategy. But you can't live off of something that expires a year from now. You need it right now.
Yeah.
So that's really what brought it on. And then when I was traveling, that's when people started asking me to teach them. But for me,
Okay.
it really was, I just want to be able to afford to do fun things when I travel. Like, I definitely was not, I wasn't traveling cheap. Like, I wasn't spending crazy amounts of money, but I was still the one that was like, oh, you guys are going to go check out this new thing. I want to come. Oh, y'all are going to that restaurant that has that really good food that everybody talks about. I want to go. So
Mm-hmm.
I needed enough money to be able to have those experiences while I was still traveling. So that
Okay.
that was important to me.
Okay. Yeah. Someone said, how do I like Vegas? They're looking at a property there now. I love it here. I think it's really a great city. It's coming up quite a bit because um, we have some national teams now, which we didn't have like 5 years ago. You know, the Raiders are here, and I just think it's still a growth city. So if you're looking at property here, I think that's a good look. Lots of California folks are moving out here since their state is on fire all the time. So just kind of like get in, get in now. But my other question for you is, for someone who's like a super beginner, how much would you say they would need to start with to like see profit and
Um,
success?
So I'd say the first thing is to start small. I did the opposite. I had like went to all my credit card, did balance transfers, and started with this big amount because I thought if I have a lot of money, then I'll make a lot of money.
Oh.
But sure enough, when I was just starting, I didn't know what I was doing, so I lost it. So
Mm.
I think people should start the opposite way. Start small. If you start with $500, TradeStation will actually let you open an account but trade in a simulated account with paper money. I think that's the best way to start. And hold on, can you see me? I know it said my battery was low,
Oh
but
yeah.
start first with 500 and do paper money. And then as you're growing, I think the next level is $2,000. At that point, the bank will actually start letting you have like extra buying power. But the goal then, when I teach my students, we're trying to make an average of 1% of your cash amount a day. So at
Okay.
$2,000, well, now you're making $20 a day or $100 a week. That's good money. That's an extra $400 a month just off of $2,000. That's a 20% return. So if you're able to start just doing those small 1% average goals, then you'll do really well. And
Okay.
yeah, and after that you can start having higher percentage returns. But I think this, like, aiming small, you'll get bigger results. Aiming high, a lot of times you start losing because you're risking too much and doing too much. So that's where I'd start.
Okay. How long would you say someone should paper trade before they like get going?
I think if they could do at least 10 successful paper trades, then they can start doing it with their real money. But it's something that they're going to want to see success, like consistent success in the paper trades, and then they can start doing it with their real money. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that's like golden. That's dope. Yeah. Ooh, lots
Yeah.
of questions are coming in. They're all trade related though, so I don't know.
So World's Famous says, how much a day per week was that? I missed it. So your goal is to make a average 1% of your cash amount a day or 5% a week as an active day and swing trader. So what that could look like is it could look like you being in and out of trades fast, which I actually don't really recommend. I think that you're going to be like looking at charts, and there's going to be a price where you're going to get into that stock and a price where you sell. That may happen in a day, but often it takes like 2 to 3 days or maybe even a week. So it's more of a swing trade. So that could either mean in a day you're making the 1%, or you have a really nice trade that makes 5% over a week. Both of those is averaging about 1% of your cash amount a day.
Cool.
So Fresh Prince says, don't you have to have 25,000 in your account to day trade? So the answer is yes, if you're doing more than 3-day trades within a 5-day period. So if you're swing trading, like I was saying, like looking at more buying in a buyer's level and then waiting for it to get to your seller's level, if you're doing that, that's actually more of a swing trade. So you actually don't have to have the 25K. Also, you can still trade every day, but not trade the same stock, and you can have less than 25K. So, say
Oh,
for example, yeah, like say I get into Walmart stock on Monday, and then I sell it on Tuesday, and get into another stock on Tuesday, sell it on Wednesday. You're still trading every day, and you're still making money every day, but you're just not trading the same stock. And then that way you don't have to worry about the $25,000 rule.
is that $25,000 rule based on like the brokerage you use, or is that universal?
That's universal. It's like an
Okay,
IRS rule. If
gotcha.
they see that you're a active day trader, then they will require you to have more money in your account.
Gotcha. And
Mhm.
what made you choose, if you don't mind me asking, what made you choose TradeStation over like some of the other brokerages out there?
I like a lot of things about them. So one, their customer service is a lot better. We actually have a partner at TradeStation that we can physically call. And I don't have any other brokers that my students can just call. Like,
Right.
Corey, this is happening. Let me call you right now. And they will pick up the phone. So
Yeah.
I like that customer service. Also, the platform is more robust. So it's actually been award winning for traders. So we get faster entry times. Like if I place a trade and my student places one in Fidelity, then I'm going to get a better price because my order is going to execute faster. And so
Okay.
I really like that. And then they have just like, you can do so much in trades. I don't even use all of the stuff, but you
Okay.
can do like algorithmic, I always mess up that word, but you can do like algorithmic trading where you program it. You can do, for us, we can do multiple exits at a time, which I like. So if I have a trade on, I can put a trade in to protect myself from losing and a trade to get me out if it goes up at the same time, versus other accounts can't do that. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of stuff I like about it.
That's so interesting you said that because I do have Fidelity. I'm not doing trading yet like that, but even like just buying regular stocks sometimes I'm like, why is it taking so long? So that's good to know.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of times like the companies, the online brokers went to 0% commission, but they still have to make money. So
right.
one of the ways that they might make money is by delaying your entry for a couple seconds, and then they get to keep the change in between, like between when you
Uh,
press go and it actually fills, they get to keep that difference. Yeah, so like that's one of the ways that some brokers make money, and that's why sometimes you'll see they call it slippage, a
oh,
little bit of room there between where you wanted to get in and where you got in.
you're so smart, Terry. You're so smart.
I've been doing this a long time. This 2021. I've been doing this 11 years. It's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so
Wolf, oh, sorry, go ahead. Wolf Wisdom says, what are your multiple exits? It'd be like putting in a stop order to protect yourself if the stock goes down, and then also putting in a limit order up top to get out if the stock comes up to your exit. So that's like two different, or to your target. So that's like two different sell orders that can be in the system on the same stock at one time. Some brokers don't let you do that.
yeah.
Hmm.
So Strength Rewired said, "Do you have any property managers for my properties? How many Airbnbs do you have?" I imagine. So right now, I currently I kind of reduced my co-hosting, and I do have a partner who does more of the managing, and so a lot of my referrals that I send or people that I was co-hosting for, I send to her. And she is amazing. Like I said, she's also like me where she directly markets. So we get like right now I've got like two regular Airbnb bookings, but I've also, because of the type of marketing she does, I also have a good number of direct bookings for like 2 weeks or more. So I've got one that's like 2 weeks. I've got one that's like a month. And so she partners. And if you're interested in her, our team managing for you, just shoot me a DM. Right now I have about three. I just got the low power
Okay,
mode.
right. Okay,
But
I think I'm still here. If it goes out, then
yeah,
we'll have to
so
do another one.
I've got some in the DC metro, and then I actually have one in Ghana with my family, with my parents that we host. It's been a little slow because of COVID, because most of our guests were international travelers, like either Ghanaians or people of the diaspora who traveled to Ghana regularly, or just generally international travelers. So but yes, she's really great if you're looking for someone to manage for you. If you're looking to like get started yourself, you can always check out my page. I always share a lot of good information on how to get started as well.
Oh wow. You know, that's a super smart idea because I have some family in Nigeria and that'd be really cool. Like, you know, we've been thinking about like ways to do business there. Like I forgot you could do Airbnbs there. That's awesome.
I mean, it's really popular, especially Ghana is like, of course it's my heart, but it's doing so well. Last year was the year of the return, so Ghana did like this entire year of tourism, basically inviting everyone of the African diaspora to come back to Ghana. So year of the return, like return to your roots. And so
Yeah.
they had all year long, they had all these events and celebration. I shouldn't say last year, I mean 2019.
I totally messed that up on a call yesterday. I kept saying 2019 when I meant 2020, but I was thinking last year, and
Right.
right, I messed that all up.
Yeah, so it was amazing time. I went in December 2019 with my family, but we had guests at the Airbnb the whole year. It was fantastic. So I think that is a, you know, especially I posted this a couple weeks ago because there was a Bloomberg article that Africa as a continent has 7 out of the 10 fastest growing economies of 2020.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot there. And I think our people can be the ones to reinvest there instead of, you know, how it's been historically.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think finding ways to do business in our countries are really, is a good thing.
Oh, that would be so cool. Oh, that would be so
Yes.
cool. Well, let me answer a couple more of these questions before my battery dies. Someone said, "What's your favorite stock technical indicator?" And I actually don't use indicators. I'm looking at candlestick formations in order
Okay.
to decide where to trade. So that's that one. And then somebody asked for you, how do you get to own an Airbnb?
Yeah. So, you can buy a property to have an Airbnb, but you can also do a master lease where you're going out and renting a place to use for Airbnb, or you can co-host where you find someone who owns a property who's interested in having an Airbnb and you run it for them. So those are three of the ways that you can get started. So Airbnb is really Airbnb is a platform. We use the word a lot because it's so popular, but Airbnb is just a platform where you can list your property for short-term rentals. So there are also other platforms like VRBO, which is vacation rental by owner, booking.com. A lot of people don't know they can list their personal properties on booking.com as well. But it's just a place for short-term rentals for you to market that to guests. So if you've got a place, you know, like Teri and I, the way we started with where we lived. And I feel like you're such a kindred spirit because so many people are like, ugh, but I'm like, listen, I was making the money, so
Right? I'm
I
good.
was not there. So it could be your own home, it could be a room in your home, it could be a basement that you know list separately. I know in the DC area, a lot of people have basement apartments, like English basements, or you might have an in-law suite, or maybe you have a property that you inherited or a second investment property that you could use, or maybe you're like me and you just have a friend who has property. I mean, there are so many ways to get in. So yeah, you don't have to limit yourself. You can just, you know, try to think outside the box. And like I said, I always like to village search. So who do I know in my village who might be able to connect me, you know?
Sure. And then there's another good question down here. There's one for me, and then I'll tell you this one. So, do I trade penny stocks? And the answer is no, absolutely not. I trade stocks that are healthy, that are on an uptrend. And I have a watch list of about 30 companies that I've been trading for like the past 10 years. But all of them are companies that longer term investors would also trade, but I just trade in and out of them for income. So I'm going to be looking at the best in breed, the best stocks in a sector, and those are the ones I'll go for. And then this one I thought was really nice for you. And someone said, how much do you need to get started with TradeStation? $500 to open an account. And then for you, Nana, she says, any particular reason why you selected to partner with Airbnb versus VRBO? Just curious because I work for Expedia.
Yeah. Oh, nice. First, I
Hey,
want to shout out. I see my Ghanaian family out there with the Ghana flag, code
hey.
3235. But yes, answering your question, Shan Step. I started with Airbnb because they were the most user friendly and most known to me at the time that I could even actually put my place on Airbnb. Like, I think Airbnb did the best job at the time of making short-term rentals popular because they've been around literally for centuries. Short-term rentals is just anything that's like less than your traditional rental period in my mind, right? Less than 12 months. And most people think like a weekend, a week, 2 weeks, a couple of days here and there. So that's why I started with Airbnb, but I list on VRBO as well. I list on Booking. I I don't I don't list specifically on Expedia, but I know my manager. I think one of the platforms we list on, I think, exports to Expedia. And the only reason why I say this is because I've had guests say, ask me questions like, oh, I need help with XYZ. And I'm like trying to find their reservation. And they're like, I booked through Expedia. And I'm like, how? So somehow, a lot of them, they have their own partnerships as well. But yeah, I am not like I'll only be on Airbnb. I'm down for it. I even say in my course, it's not just Airbnb. I have a whole section about that because once you learn Airbnb, they're definitely the most user friendly. Like I would totally start there because they make it so much easier to list your property and just kind of figure out the whole process. A lot of the other platforms are starting to catch up, but I will say like booking.com, for instance, and I don't want to throw shade, but they're a little more challenging to get up and running and really kind of understand their platform. Airbnb just makes it so much more smooth, so that you can worry about learning the business instead of trying to like bang your head trying to do simple things that are technical or too technical rather, if that makes sense.
Got it. And Shanstep says Expedia is the parent company of VRBO. I didn't know that. Glad to
That's where I didn't
have
know that either. I was like, how?
VRBO. Cool. Nice. Well, girl, I feel like I might need to stop because my battery's gonna die soon. But this was really fun. And I'm so glad we got to talk about both Airbnb investing and stock investing. That's really cool.
Yeah, super cool. I have to say, Teri, I've been fangirling out since we said we were gonna do this. I'm like, I'm gonna be online with Teri. So I'm super excited. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course. Please save this so I can keep sharing it.
I
I would
will, for sure.
love to share this with even more people. Oh, and we should both probably share how people can get in touch with us. So how can they find you?
Yeah, so you can, of course, Instagram is where I mostly hang. You can click the link in my bio if you're interested in any of my programs. I have the B&B Quick Start Bundle, which is like all of my ebooks on Airbnb. And then I have the B&B from Scratch method, which is my full course where I walk you through like video like this, where I'm telling you do this, XYZ, this is how you get started, this is how you master lease, this is how you co-host, etc. So yeah, that's where I hang. Occasionally I'll do a YouTube video, but not often enough. So
next time we could do that live. We could do that live. Today I was like, I'm just tired. I'm over what I'm seeing on TV. Let me take a nap. So next
Yes,
time we'll do the full blown YouTube everything.
I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
And you guys can find me at Invest with Teri or all things trade and travel on YouTube. Trade and Travel. We have an Instagram, Trade and Travel. Look us up because we teach you how to invest for the things that you love. So yeah, find me there.
Awesome.
And the link in my bio. All
Dope.
right. Well, I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.